Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah if you don't know me. You already know by the title of this video what we're going to be doing. We are going to do a January reading wrap up. I don't want to waste your time, so we're going to dive right into it. I'm just going to talk about these books in the order that I read them in. Starting off strong, the first book I read this year, because it's January, so the first book I read this year in 2026 ever was Alchemy of Secrets by Stephanie Garber. I loved this book. I thought it was so fun. If you don't know what it's about, it basically follows our main character named Holland, who is obsessed with local legends and myths. She tries to follow this one local legend, which leads her to a man named the Watchman. He knows the exact time and day that Holland is going to die. He tells her that she is going to die tomorrow at midnight unless she finds the alchemical heart, which is a mythical object that no one has been able to find. No one has been able to find it. People don't even know if it's real or not, but he tells her she needs to find this or else she'll die tomorrow at midnight. So Holland teams up with two other men who are also looking for this alchemical heart, but for different reasons. And they all together try and find this mythical object that they don't even know if it exists or not. That's pretty much the whole plot of this book. I gave this book a 4 out of 5. I loved reading this book. I thought the plot was so interesting and fun. It was so unique. I will also say that in general, I'm a huge fan of Stephanie Garber's writing style. She is so good at writing magical realism. It's insane. I truly do feel like every time I read one of her books, whether it's the Caraval series, the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, and even this, I truly do feel like I'm transported into a different world altogether, which was so interesting in this specific book because the whole book takes place in Los Angeles, which is a real place, but there's so many themes and aspects of magic that it just makes you feel like there really is magic in the real world. You just have to look for it. And that was just so fun and unique to read about. I really enjoyed my time here. The next book that I read in January, I actually read on my Kindle, so I don't have the physical copy of it, but I will put it over here somewhere. It's called In My Dreams I Hold the Knife. This is a thriller book that follows either 5 or 6 main characters who are all coming back together for their 10-year college graduation reunion. So pretty early on in this book, it's revealed that when they were in college, one of the friends in this friend group was brutally murdered and the killer was never caught. So they are coming together for the 10-year reunion, and it's very quickly revealed that one of the friends in this friend group killed the other friend 10 years ago, and so you're trying to figure out who it is. This is a dual timeline book, so it flashes back in time to when they were all in college and then again to the present when everything's slowly being revealed. This book had everything I love in a thriller book. It had strong friendship dynamics, which I love reading about friendships. It had betrayal, it had crazy plot twists, it had all the mystery vibes you can imagine, it had a dual timeline, so it had everything I love in a book. I really enjoyed reading it. I gave it a 4.25 out of 5 stars, so you know that I really did enjoy it. I will say I did not guess who the killer was, which I was so upset about because I feel like I'm pretty good at putting mysteries together. Overall, I did really enjoy this book. It is a little bit more like dark academia. It does deal with some themes like essay, and again there's a murder obviously that happens, so just some violence in general. So I would be careful going into it if that's not your style or if you don't really like thrillers. However, if you do like dark academia, you do like thrillers and murder mysteries, I feel like this is a great option for you. Okay, the third book that I read in January was called Girl in Pieces by Kathleen Glasgow. This book, heavy trigger warnings. Do not read this book if you struggle with your mental health, because that's pretty much all it talks about is mental health. This book follows our main character, Charlotte. People call her Charlie, so I'll just refer to her as Charlie. And Charlie really struggles with her mental health, like to an extreme. The book starts off with her in a mental ward because she tried to harm herself, and you just get a lot of inner dialogue as to the pattern of thinking that she deals with on a regular basis. A little bit into this book, she gets released from this program that was trying to help her, and she kind of has to learn how to navigate dealing with that kind of pattern of thinking in the real world when she doesn't have help anymore. I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. I will say one of my favorite things in this book was that although it dealt with very heavy themes, there was a very clear theme of hope that was intertwined throughout every single page, I feel like, because the whole plot is that she's still struggling with these kinds of thoughts, but she's learning how to overcome them, and she's learning how to cope with them, and she's learning how to believe that time will heal and things will get better. She's not stuck in this life forever. She's not stuck in this pattern forever. Time heals, she will heal, thought patterns can change, and she's learning all of this while actively struggling with her mental health. So there was a very clear theme of hope that was intertwined throughout this entire story. I really appreciated that. The only reason I gave it 3 stars and not higher was just because I personally wasn't the biggest fan of the writing style of this book. However, I can definitely recognize that it was a very powerful story. Okay, the 4th and final book that I read in the month of January is called Good Wives by Louisa May Alcott. This is a classic, so it's more like Old English writing, but personally I actually really loved it, which is very weird because I normally don't like Old English writing. I just feel like for whatever reason she did it so well that it wasn't as confusing for me as it normally is. I truly did feel like the writing in this book was so pretty. This is the 2nd book in the Little Women series. It basically follows one family of 4 sisters as they're trying to kind of just navigate life and find the purpose of their lives, find meaning in the mundane. This is definitely an overall, I would say, coming of age story, but it does have other themes. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars, although the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I might have to go back and adjust my rating to a little bit higher because I loved this book and I'm still thinking about it all the time. I think one of the reasons I loved this book so much was because I truly did feel like I could connect and relate to all of these sisters, but on different levels. One of them gets married pretty early on in the book, and so as a newlywed wife myself, I just had such a fun time reading about another woman, even though she's fiction, but reading about another woman who is also going through the same kind of season of life that I'm going through right now. I personally also have pretty, I would say, traditional family values, and I felt like the women in this book also had those same or very similar traditional family values. So it was just really cool to read about characters that I felt like I could relate to, maybe more than I've ever related to characters before. I was so deeply inspired by these women's morals in the story that I can't express enough how much I loved reading the thoughts that they were having and their inner dialogue and just how they viewed the world in general. It was so encouraging and so beautiful to read about, if that makes sense. And then finally, I'll just say, I think I mentioned it earlier, but the writing style, even though it's like Old Englishy and whatnot, I felt like it was so pretty and heartwarming. So far, 2026 has had good books, so I'm hoping to continue this streak in February. So with that, I'm going to end the reading wrap up. Andrew actually just got back home and he brought me a coffee. He was out donating some stuff we had around the house that we didn't need anymore to some thrift stores. Okay, I don't know what I really have on the agenda today, but off of the top of my head, I know I have to replace the ink in my typewriter, so I'm definitely going to do that. I also want to read a little bit more of my current book, and I also have my sourdough starter rising right now, so later on, once it hits its peak, I'm going to make some dough for sourdough to bake tomorrow, and that's all I can think of for right now. So I will see you in a few minutes. This is my sourdough starter. Look at it rising. This morning when I fed it, it was at this line, so it's risen this much, maybe an inch or 2. It should get up to here-ish, maybe at least here in the next few hours. Okay, so this is my typewriter. It's one of the best gifts I've probably ever received.
You put it right in between the guides here.
Okay, I think I did it, but I'm gonna test it out to see if it works. So this is what it looks like now. This is the new ribbon that I just put in. I think it works. Okay, it is nighttime now. It's like 9:30-ish. I do feel like I did a lot today. I replaced my typewriter ribbon, which I desperately needed to do. I've been wanting to do that for a while. I made dinner. I prepared my sourdough, which I just put in the fridge for it to, I don't know if it's called bulk ferment or whatever, but it's in the fridge and it's gonna sit there overnight until I'm able to bake it tomorrow. I made dinner, I did the dishes, I read a little bit, but I really didn't get to read much. Definitely not as much as I wanted to, so since it's 9:30, I do have a little bit of time left in the night before I get ready to go to sleep. So I have my Kindle here with me, and I think I'm just going to sit down for the next hour or so, maybe a little bit less, and read until I get too sleepy to stay awake. So hello guys, I'm in bed. My plans of staying up and reading for a little while did not last very long. It's like barely 10:30 and I'm just ready to knock out. I'm so tired. There was a quote that I just thought was so pretty, and I did show you it on the camera, but I just thought it would be really fun to kind of read the quote because I just feel like it's so pretty. I just want to read it. So the quote is, "How easy it was for his kind to hide the painful markers of a life of mistakes. The wounds of the past carefully stitched up and tucked away beneath layers of elegant stillness. Humans just bled our pain all over everything, denying it with our last breath while crimson seeped between our fingers." I don't know why, I just thought that that was a very pretty quote just to describe how the emotion of like pain and regret and mistakes feel in like our lives. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading way too much into that, but I just thought that it was really pretty. I'm on page 108, and that's about 16% of the book. So I did get to read a little bit, but I am really tired, so I'm going to clock out for the night and end this video. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!